All right, all right, all right, all right. This is the mayor of the airwaves. How are you, ladies and gentlemen? And on the line today, of course, I have my nephew, and he is on the line. Hello, nephew. How are you?
Good morning, Uncle Rhett. How's it going?
Good. How's the weather up in Connecticut today?
It is very nice. It is 50 degrees currently, going up to 57, and it's bright and sunny out there.
Oh, really? Well,
Yeah.
how do you like that? What's the temperature in Vero Beach, Florida?
62 degrees.
62 degrees. 62. So we're a little warmer than you, but it was about 52 when we woke up. Now, you have a lady. We're going to be talking about adoption, ladies and gentlemen. This is my nephew, who I did not know existed until a year and a few days ago. And we've gotten very close. I've been up to your house, I think 3 times. And you've been down here. Let's say I knew you were on the cruise, and then we were out one time you're down to my house, and then we were also out in Cece, who's your half sister, who is also my brother's child, and so we've gotten pretty close over the past year. And you have on the line a Renee Gelin. What's her name?
Gelin.
Gelin. Oh, like I'm gelin.
Yeah, Gelin. Good morning, Renee.
Good morning.
How you doing, Renee?
I'm doing well.
Okay, what are we going to talk about here, James?
Well, I would love to talk about. James, are you going to go ahead?
No, I want you to take it, but basically, Renee's organization is Saving Our Sisters, and we did interview her once already, but we have much more subject matter to cover. So, Renee, take it from there, please.
Great. So I just want to thank you for having me on the show again. I'm really happy to have the opportunity to talk about this and talk a little bit about the organization that I put together. We talked a couple of weeks ago. I'll kind of recap that, if you would. We talked about my loss of my son to an unnecessary adoption during a crisis that I was going through, a little bit of a financial crisis, and some other issues that were going on at the time. So I usually call crisis pregnancies or, situations where moms are pregnant, the perfect storm. Basically everything that, they think is going wrong, or, they feel everything is pretty much going wrong, and it's really giving them some obstacles to believe that they can parent their child. And it's a tough situation, but which is exactly what happened to me. And I ended up reaching out to an adoption agency and ended up losing my son to an unnecessary adoption. And literally within months, all of the issues that I thought were, insurmountable and were going to prevent me from parenting my son had pretty much dissipated and were completely gone. And it was just... it was a very rude awakening, and, connecting then with a lot of people online to find support, because there aren't a lot of support groups. There aren't a lot of people just walking down the street that you can talk to about this. I ended up connecting with the online community, which is how I know James, and building this network of people who have gone through some of the similar situations, the similar situation that I was in, and ended up also losing their children. But not only that, I've also connected with adoptees, for example, such as James, and I've even connected with adoptive parents. I know that you've been talking with a few people over the last couple of weeks about trauma and how it affects the child, how it affects the mother, what the long-term, the long-term ramifications are of adoption. And what I needed to do to kind of rectify my situation, because you really just can't take back, your child. You don't get a do-over, so to speak. It is a permanent solution. I needed to really get some understanding and get the word out and try to help others from not having to go through an unnecessary separation, and be able to find, their faith back in themselves, find support, find local resources, and just be able to get the confidence that, they can parent their own child. And so saving our sisters was formed.
Saving our sisters. So tell us your story succinctly.
So my story, I was an older mom. I started having kids later in life. I did career first. I actually had a business. Business went under, like so many others, in 2008, 2009. And I was buried in debt. I was doing some contract work. I'm an IT contractor. My insurance policy that I had didn't cover maternity care, didn't cover maternity coverage at all. So I was going to have to pay for my C-section cash. And with being buried in debt, already single parenting, having these situations, I ended up reaching out for an adoption agency. And when you reach out for an adoption agency, you get an adoption.
But that is a choice, and when we make choices, we have to live by those choices. So was it a closed adoption?
Well, it is now, which is what happens to so many.
Or hold on, are you the lady that had there was an open adoption, and then within a week and a half, you didn't listen to the telltale signs, and so then they made it a closed adoption?
Nope, that's Jennifer. Jennifer's story, she's actually a grandmother of adoption loss, and that happened to her daughter. Mm-hmm. So Jennifer's actually on the board of SOS. So she's bringing another voice from a grandmother perspective, to the loss of a child.
Go ahead.
I just want to interject a quick thought here. You mentioned making a choice, and one of the things that Karen brought home pretty clearly is that when there is one choice, you really don't have a choice. And I believe that one of the things Renee is trying to accomplish.
Hello? We have lost. Is everybody gone? Okay, Mr. B, let's just go to...
I am here.
Okay, you're there. I don't know what happened to
I am.
James. James has disappeared. Okay, one thing that we're doing here is there is a presumption, and every time you guys come on, I'm trying to help you guys, but there is a presumption that we all know what you're talking about or your feelings. So it's kind of like we need to take baby steps for the listeners that have no idea what the controversy is. Now from an objective opinion, you've told me that you got pregnant, you didn't have the money, you made an option to give up your child. Okay, and I don't know. I don't know why you did that. I have no idea, and it's not my job to judge you.
Right.
It's not my job to take your inventory. I can say this about me. I would, by hook or by crook, I wouldn't do that. But remember, I don't have a child, and and so that's one of the empty places in my life. So if I had a child, hook or by crook, if I even had to steal and rob banks to feed my child and keep my child, I'm dang well going to do it. But but that has it's not necessarily relevant at all to what you're saying. And I'm not casting aspersions or even judgment at all, because I have no right to judge somebody till I walked a mile in their moccasins, and I have no idea about your life. All I know is for me. But I do know when we do make decisions as adults, and may I ask how old you are?
I'm 50.
Okay, you're fit. So you have children late in life. That's great. Well, good for you.
Mm-hmm.
But
I'm lucky.
Blessed, yeah, blessed. So you go. You anyway. What was I going to say there? I forget where I was.
About choices. You were talking about choices.
Yeah, because you did make a choice. Now, if you're regretting that choice, okay. What is it you want to accomplish? I don't understand.
Yeah, the key word that's missing from your statement is informed. And my choice was definitely not informed. When you go in to have surgery, the doctor presents all of the potential outcomes, all of them. He gives you everything that's going to happen, that could happen, may not, and he's going to give you the probability of what will or will not happen.
Well, who plays the part? Well, but who plays the part of the doctor in this? Because if I go out right now in my car, I'm going to play the hard. I'm playing the hard guy here, obviously. If I go out in my car and I break the law, they don't. I said, well, nobody taught me. Well, it's not our job to teach you, Mr. Palmer. You have a privilege in the United States of America to drive. You broke the law. It is your business to learn those things. You broke the law, and you're going to have to pay the consequence.
But that is not what happens in adoption, and that's not what the adoption agencies, the adoption attorneys, and the adoption industry does.
Well, hold on.
Is
it their job to educate you? I don't know if it is.
Well, if they're profiting from it, just like a doctor profits from my surgery.
Profit's not evil. Every laborer deserves their pay. So I don't understand it just because they're making a profit. I don't know. I guess.
Well, it's information. So, in my opinion, if I'm going to go in and I'm going to talk to them about this, I should be provided full disclosure. I should be, provided information regarding what happens to my child's birth certificate.
Like a bank, if you're going to get a loan, they have to give full disclosure on what they're charging you, or yeah.
Sure.
Not only that, but also what the consequences are if you don't pay it back. They tell you everything that's going to happen.
And let's not forget here, the product we are discussing is a human life.
Yeah.
Right.
It should be set to a higher level of standards and disclosure.
Yep. I think there should be a standard of honesty in all that we do, and
Absolutely.
particularly, you're right. I mean, for emotionally, I think that's a great response. I agree.
Yeah, I mean, I guarantee you, we regulate the production of cornflakes than we do the transfer of parenting and guardianship for a child.
And we've mentioned this before too. We monitor separating puppies and kittens from their parents. We don't do that.
Say that again. We do what with puppies and kittens?
You don't separate puppies and kittens. You keep them with their mother.
Yeah, well, look what humans did to the Jews were enslaved for 400 years, but what happened? The terrifying thing that happened with the Africans that came here, black folks, is that they were torn apart. I mean, just like during the Holocaust, the Holocaust in America was that the parents were torn away, and children were never going to see their parents, and it's a horrible thing, you know.
You know what, Rhett? They were sold.
Yeah.
And they were sold just like the adoption industry does to infants. They sell them.
Okay, now
They do not give them.
Okay.
They do not give them away for free.
I understand, but hold on. Well, first of all, we got to establish something here, because there's a big thing in America today that making a profit is evil. And making a profit is not evil. And the government has never created a job, and they want to come down because it's like it's castigated that for some reason Trump's a billionaire. Oh, he's a bad guy. And if you're a CEO, you're a bad guy. Well, you know what? It's just like people come to me, and I'm emotional. I'm an artist, so I used to respond like you guys are. Well, the CEO of the American Red Cross is making $550,000 a year. Well, now I've learned, frankly, $550,000 a year is not much to pay a CEO. And if you want to say you're not going to pay $550,000, then you know what you're going to get? You're going to get some schlemiel, because that person has the gifting to be making millions of dollars is already cut down to $500,000. So it's all what you learn in society. I mean, if the reason they paid these CEOs so much money. So is there anything wrong with a profit? I don't know. Let's just close down the whole industry, and then we're going to have all these children that are going to go into orphanages.
No, you won't.
My child was never, ever in danger of going to an orphanage.
No, because
the point you're missing is the product we are talking about is a human being.
I understand that.
That's a huge point not really getting.
I know, but all my life I've been like you. I've been emotional, and I'm growing up now. I'm in my early 60s. That business, it is. If something's business, it's because it's got lines of delineation. It's got to make a profit. You got to pay people.
Of course, but this is not a sprocket. It's a life.
I understand that, but it's still business.
No, and it shouldn't be.
Oh, yes, it should be. Well, it depends on your definition of business. Business means an organization. You know, you can have an organization that sells cars. You can have an organization that helps people get adoptions. You can have an organization that has a radio show. You can have an organization that makes chocolate candy bars. But it's organized as opposed to disorganized. Now, if you're going to organize adoption, then those people who are going to come in, it's just like people want to say, well, why should ministers get money? Why should they have a salary? Because when you get up at 8 o'clock, they're getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning to go visit somebody who has a problem. Then they're going to the hospital. They're going hither and on. Every laborer deserves their due. So if you're in that business of helping, now, if you're suspect of motivation, if you think, then let's talk about that. But that almost has to be on an individual basis.
That could be regulated.
You can't regulate morality. You cannot regulate heart.
You can regulate process and procedure.
Okay, give me a for instance then, James, because I'm
Robbing
not.
a bank.
Pardon me?
There's consequences. Robbing a bank. Your favorite.
Well, the process and procedure in aspect of in respect to adoption, Renee, what do we need to provide young mothers? What information should be obligatory to provide to them?
Yeah, because
the full disclosure piece.
Yeah.
What should they be told?
Yeah, absolutely. Everything. There's a ton of information that is just not given. They're only showing the bright side.
And this is why a lot of Christians like me, who say my tax money should not go to Planned Parenthood because they push they don't push the adoption, they push the murder. What is it called?
Abortion.
Abortion. They push the abortion. Well, not with my money, Jack. Not with my damn money. Over my dead damn body, because my Lord says in the Bible, he says, if you see evil and you don't attempt to correct it, the blood is on your hands. But if you attempt to correct it, though you fail because you tried, the blood will not be on your hands. Now, I don't want my money going to an organization like Planned Parenthood. They don't give out all the information. So that needs to be rectified, just like this. So what are you guys saying? What's a plan? Give me a perfect
here's
world.
One of the things. Uncle Rhett, you know as well as any other, the first thing you have to do is admit there is a problem, and we need to get the general public to admit that there is a problem first, and then we could work on the solutions to that problem. People don't realize there's a problem.
Okay, what's the problem?
We're selling humans and profiting from it, and is coercive by nature. That becomes coercive.
Okay, how?
And
give me a for instance. Let's not talk about anybody emotional.
Well, it's deception.
Okay, let's go
into
to one of the stories, Renee, about what happened to an actual person that you've experienced.
Yeah, not yourself. Let's talk about somebody on the outside, so we're not emotionally married to
one
it.
of the young mothers that you helped. Tell their story with anonymity.
Well, I'll give you the case in Tennessee in 2015.
Okay.
19-year-old mother, first-time mother, pregnant. Her boyfriend and his mother end up coercing her into doing an adoption, and they do so because paternal grandma, the dad's grandma, both again he's 19, going into college. She thinks that it's going to ruin their lives. So they need to give up their baby for adoption so they can go on with their lives and everything will be hunky-dory. Mom's mother, maternal grandma, and her family have been throwing baby showers. They're waiting for the baby. Mom is going away. She's going to college away from home. So they get this whole setup going where they reach out to an adoption agency. Dad is right by Mom's side the entire time. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. They end up scheduling an unnecessary C-section for a first-time mother, and they have her sign documents in the hospital hours after she has her child. They did major surgery on her to allow the prospective adoptive parents to take the baby out of the hospital. And they do, and she does it.
That's unbelievable.
Now, she's heavily medicated, right? They cut her in half, okay? Unnecessarily. They take the baby.
The baby was not breached?
No, there was nothing wrong with the baby.
There was nothing wrong with the baby, and they did a C-section? That's a major lawsuit, in my opinion.
Exactly, and she has filed one. I'll get into that at the end. But
I don't understand. Now, I don't know anything about birth because I don't know nothing about birth. No babies, Miss Scarlett.
You do not do a C-section on a mother. You do not have surgery if you don't have to do it.
Why did they say they were doing this? Why did they say they were doing this?
So the prospective adoptive parents could fly across the country on Thanksgiving weekend and pick up their bundle.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Really?
It was done out of convenience. This is happening all the time.
I was just going to ask you, is that common practice? That's amazing.
Yes, I can tell you so many stories. It'll blow your mind.
Well, I
So,
think we don't. I don't think we
out-
know the extent of man's evilness, because do you know in countries right now they condemn a prisoner who maybe would be put in prison, but instead they shoot him and then they tear out their guts and then they sell the body parts to somebody in Houston so they can live,
Indeed.
like a pancreas
Indeed.
or.
And profit motivates evil.
And that's exactly what happened in this case.
Yeah, money is not
Profit
evil. Money is not
motivated
yep,
evil.
Money,
Yeah.
money is not evil, but as Jesus said, the love of money is the root of all evil.
I'll agree with that.
It's one of the 7
Yep.
deadly sins, right? Greed.
Yep.
So, what happens, she then goes on for a week and begs for her baby back. Begs. She's got it all on videotape. I'll send you the YouTube link if you want it.
All right.
Her mother videotaped everything. It's fantastic. And the adoption agency social worker, when she asked for her copies of the paperwork she signed, now, tell me in any business contract that you sign, do you walk away without copies of your papers? Do you
Never.
buy a house
Never.
and walk away without copies of your papers? Do you buy a car?
Okay, so what
and walk
happened? Though?
away?
We got to break into news. We're automatically going to be cut off. So leave us somewhere
Okay.
where we can go to break.
They never give them copies of their paperwork, so they have no idea what they're signing.
Well, I don't know what kind of an idiot would sign something and not want a paper. And you really, I don't know
Very
if you can.
naive, young first-time mother who has no idea what she's gotten herself into.
Well, the government
And
needs to.
possibly just coming out of surgery and still under the influence of the drugs they gave her.
All right, we'll talk more about this. We got a break for the news. We'll be back. This is the Mayor of the Airwaves talking about adoption